by little, piece by piece, I take back what's been stolen from me. Little by little, piece by piece, until I'm complete.
Hello and welcome back to the Place of Wrath and Tears. My name is Ben, I'm the storyteller, and we are back from our holiday break. We have all enjoyed our various holidays and not being at work as much and some other adventures, but we are back. So to refresh, we're going to go from the top and start down a little bit because hopefully we have someone new. We are a actual play of the KULT TTRPG. We are generally set in Las Vegas in 1957. We try to safety mechanic as hard as we body horror. I think we do pretty good. However, right now, if you haven't caught up to the last episode, at this point, all three of the Van Horsts have made their way with not the best amount of planning into Metropolis. Clara a little too close to the sun, and rolled a 9 at the perfect moment, or a 9 under at the perfect moment. And she and someone I have now labeled in my head as the Atomic Prophet because it makes me happy. Ripped a hole in the illusion where it was already pretty wibbly wobbly. And then once Matthew and Bethany realized she was gone for too long, trademark, they followed her trail and found her missing, and subsequently followed her into the bad decision hole in reality. So at least they're together.
Making bad decisions together, the Van Horst way.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a couple of things. There was a small content warning reel at the beginning of each episode. Please pay attention to it. We play very hard. We use safety mechanics, but we also have a very big box inside, like the red and yellow, that we very firmly established. So we tend to bounce around inside that whole box pretty freely. But in this storyline, there is a higher than average for this game focus on things like enslavement and cultural loss of control and things that are related to that. So if that is going to affect you in a strong way, please proceed with the best of care for yourself. Yes. All right. Does anybody else want to say anything before we get started? Okay. Clara. You did the damn thing. And when you are pulled into Metropolis, the first thing you feel is this delightful at first and then not so comfortable sense of sunlight on your skin. It not from the sun, but from the Atomic Prophet, this poor little like grubby preacher that you head fucked into making some decisions. Well, when you say worship me in despair, sometimes people worship you in despair, so it worked.
I showed him the light. I gave him truth. He wanted it.
Yeah. Speaking of the truth, something that we have not done a lot and that we're going to do again, and I just got reminded of, thank you, is that we are going to do character goals, which is part of the structure recommended inside the KULT Divinity Lost rulebook, and we kind of haven't used it, and now we've decided that we'd like to do that again. So, recognizing that we're starting a new chunk of the story and there's a lot of unknowns and variables, we're just going to worry about one just kind of big goal, and this can either be a character goal or a player goal. So, Elon playing Matthew Van Horst. This is all going to work out great. Look, introductions. We're so professional. So, Elon playing Matthew Van Horst, do you have a goal?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of Matthew's story has been about him having to balance the power of the illusion and the power of the cage with his desire for enlightenment and following in Bethany's footsteps. And so I would say that a goal that I have is for him to start to break free a little bit more of the illusion and come into his enlightenment.
Fantastic. Okay. Erica, playing Clara Van Horst, what is your goal?
Survive at this moment, but the actual goal is to use the first heir of Metropolis. So when we take over as kings and queens, there'll be somebody to inherit.
Okay.
I love you, Erica. Never change.
Yeah, never change. You're delightful. Kate, playing the now suddenly reasonable sounding Bethany Van Horst.
Right.
Do you what goals do you or Miss Bethany have?
Well, Bethany's actually just accomplished her major goal from the last arc, which was get her siblings back to Metropolis so we can figure out some shit there. Like, that has been her want. And so she just did that. And so actually she's grappling with having left the entire illusion behind and all of the things that were still there that she is attached to. Like, can she find the Red Lady in Metropolis? Can she, like, is she gonna have to find a person and torture them to try and get her to come back? Like, she's currently prepared and thinking about it. So attempting to contact the Red Lady is pretty high up there now that they have left the plane where she knows she can find her.
Yes, I imagine that makes perfect sense, and I love it. However, like, good news, bad news, there's probably some kind of mechanism around somewhere in this giant, unfathomably large city that would allow you to do cloning. So maybe you could cook your own ablative Bethanies, should you feel so compelled. All right. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for reminding me that we were going to do goals. I appreciate that. So now launching into it, Clara, when you think about returning to Elysium, there's probably music. There's probably better lighting. There's probably a crowd on one side or the other, or if you're really good, both. You don't entirely get what you want in this moment. Your crowd is one, and he seems to be actually literally crumbling to this uncomfortable, ashy, glassy sort of substance. I think you guys kneeling in front of you, he's actively kind of falling apart, leaving only inexplicably and in pure defiance of the laws of physics and thermodynamics. His hair is still somehow attached to his skull, which is now completely defleshed. It almost looks like you're not really sure you want to look too closely at the mechanism that's letting that hair stay attached, but it's there, and it is kind of sitting in those ashes, and it is actually kind of glowing on the inside like an ember. How when, if you look at an ember in bright daylight, it's just a little black gray chunk, but then you take it into the deep darkness and you can see those little cracks of deep volcanic red. It's that, but with colors you really can't quite see. It's like maybe there's something in the air more so than what this thing is emitting. You're almost getting like maybe like something in the air is fluorescing or reacting.
If her hand hovers close to it, does it feel like it's hot, or does she feel like she can touch it?
You could touch it. The heat, the physical heat you can feel is fading.
Okay.
But
and the rest of his body, like, she brushes at whatever's left of his shoulder, just kind of confirming that he's definitely dead, gone.
He is so dead. He is like way dead. He is as dead as one person can be. His soul has left the ashen remains of his body and has gone either to Metropolis or to Inferno to be shrived and returned to another human meat puppet later.
He served his purpose. That's fine.
Yes, that's really what they all are for anyway.
Yeah. So she's going to try to. She hasn't been getting nauseous a lot lately, but this is definitely nauseating. Trying to kind of take the hair and scoop up whatever this ember is in case she needs the energy. I don't know. It looks like it could be valuable, and now she's here alone.
Yes, it seems to be kind of radiating from the center of the forehead, like as if it's in the skull cavity. So you could kind of either carry the head.
Carrie.
Ichabod Crane.
Yeah, just like a purse she's not really looking at. Yeah. She's not footballing that. She's holding it at her side, not touching it.
All right.
Yes.
You have dreamed of Metropolis for years. You have found yourself almost every time unpleasantly in Metropolis. Every time it has looked different, and the same is true here. The buildings around you are these.
We lost.
We lost Elon.
Yeah.
Okay, the buildings around you are these. Are these simple black.
Sorry.
It's okay. Are these simple black cubes or rectangles. They're very geometrical. And it almost seems like someone didn't make a city, they emulated one. And it is really rather upsetting. So the sky is a kind of bluish gray. It feels like the sun is either about to come up or has just finished going down. The air feels like you remember, but it is also different. Of course, imagining Metropolis, imagining the other large cities, such as New York and Pittsburgh, the taste and sense of the air does change based off where you are in those cities. So that makes a little bit of sense. So for brevity, there's a little bit of wandering, maybe at most an hour, when Clara, you are noticing that you are being hunted.
Oh.
It takes you a moment to differentiate the oppressiveness of Metropolis from the pressure of being observed and tracked. But eventually your radar does go off. Something is following you and hunting you. What do you do in large terms?
She tries to turn and face it to figure it out. She's still holding this head ember thing, and she thinks she belongs here, and she's far more better being charismatic than running. So she turns around and starts looking.
Okay. When you stop, you kind of do a 360 looking around. And when you return back to your original position, your original line of sight, there are now 3 creatures standing about 30 feet away from you. It looks like they came out from one of these intersections of these buildings. They are generally humanoid. They look either unfinished. There's a sense of being made to them, but they also don't look very good. It's either made by a poor sculptor or just bad breeding. I mean, I don't think that Clara has a lot of understanding about genetics.
No.
That's a field that's really being felt out at the time. So there's just something off about them. However, and this is almost worse than kind of the strange inconsistencies in their musculature is the fact that all of their faces have been blatantly surgically reconstructed to be the same.
Okay.
If you imagine that someone took one of those classic Art Deco statues of a male body, the ones with the wings holding up the globe, those really long featured, beautiful, like all geometric, and someone like peeled their face off and put that under their skin and then stitched it back on like some sort of obscene cataract surgery. That's almost what you're seeing. And they are dressed. They're generally dressed. They have some rags around them. Looks like really rough homespun. You don't see any brand names or anything that indicates that it's factory made. Their feet are wrapped as protection. Their hands are wrapped. And they are holding weapons. Two of them have what looks to you, Clara, quite obviously like old machinery. Some sort of shaft thing, like maybe about 24, 28 inches long. Looks heavy. It looks made of metal. This piece, however, does have the shining, iridescent gleam that you are more used to associating with Metropolis than this black lead material around you. It looks like an engine part or something like that. It's very clearly something that has been pulled out of a larger piece of machinery. And it has been pulled and used more than once, because you can see minor nicks and imperfections, and you can also see crustings of whatever this thing beat to death last in the corners. The other one is holding something of the same flavor, a different piece of machinery. This one looks like just a pipe, something. It's a hollow tube for something to travel inside it. And that one, however, actually has wrapped with leather or tendon or sinew glass. Like it's like someone has taken some glass and wrapped it into sort of like a bit of a, your skin crawls at the idea of being hit with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one has a spear that it is holding it is holding a spear, and he also has like this little extra piece that's about as long as his forearm that kind of looks like it's cupping the back end of the spear. Not really sure what that's about, but
he's actively holding it. It's not that he's jammed a spear onto his arm and made himself into a spear.
That is correct. He is holding just in his hands.
Yeah.
A spear and then another piece with the spear that looks like it's intended to be used with it. Gotcha. If you know what I think it's an autolotl is, it's a force. It's a simple lever. It's a force multiplier.
Cool. Clara stands up straighter and looks at them, trying to momentarily figure out who the leader might be. Whichever one is closest, I'm going to roll intimidating. And she goes, I am a daughter of Metropolis, and I have many things to discuss with your commander. I would appreciate an escort.
Sure. See how that goes.
I have intimidating. I never get to use it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Roll it.
Oh, 16 plus. Oh, that's like a 20. That's good.
I'm just delighted.
Yeah.
Never change.
I read the stat and it can only work on one, so even with a good roll, this might suck. But or I would have to do it again and again. But for the first one, a 20.
In perfect Van Horst style, Clara walks into the ancient home of mankind and demands to speak to the manager.
Truly, we are.
She's holding a head. She should be slightly terrifying.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It works. You rolled it and it works. Let's just roll with it. Why not? Fuck it.
I'm here for this.
Yes. So clearly, let's say that the one in the middle, who is different from the other two in terms of weaponry, that's the one that you focused on. And just to restate, none of them are particularly human. They are just kind of an indescribably not asynchronous, asymmetrically non-human. There's some things going on underneath the skin that aren't okay. Which is why it took you so long to notice the fact that they've like been given the most abrupt cosmetic surgery ever. And it actually does like a cringe. It does like a fawning response and kind of does like a come with me sort of thing. And the other two are looking at it very confused. And there's clearly a near violent exchange of who's in charge or what's in charge. And it's all hissing sibilants and growls and other noises. I mean, this is only language by like this much. But it was a language, or at least enough of a one to communicate concepts.
The second one that Claire's gonna push her luck.
Go for it.
Starts kind of the grunting argument with the one that she bowed. She looks to and hisses at it and goes, "You will listen to your superiors and escort us now."
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Fine intimidation again. 14. So that's the middle one.
All right.
Oh wait, I still had my charisma. 17.
Yes, you do.
Never mind.
Jesus, Erica. Okay.
I forget.
You know what?
In a month, I forget how stats work.
It's okay. No, I wasn't Jesusing that you forgot charisma. I was like, oh, we're just gonna roll nothing but 15s until we roll a 2.
Well, that's what happened last time.
That's how we roll.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what? I'm two perfect successes. I'm gonna say work on all 3 of them.
Oh.
Just let's save that 2 for something more interesting. So you are. It is a hair's edge. You know how like sometimes being escorted means being escorted and sometimes it means being escorted? You're right there.
Yeah.
Like clearly they don't trust you. Clearly they assume that you are some kind of a threat or a challenge or something that must be treated both with respect and a preparation to do violence. But the way, Clara, that they return or guide you through where they're going, it is the first time that you get the sense that Metropolis is not the illusion on a much deeper level. You've been here before and you've seen the like impossible buildings and terrible things and beautiful things, and you have had some transformative experiences, but you didn't really navigate it on an actual travel scale. Kind of wherever you found yourself is where you stayed for a little while. But now, as these creatures guide you from place to place, you realize that you are in some place extremely not normal, and that the laws of reality are not here. You are used to the laws of the illusion, and these laws are not there. They'll walk down something and then they'll turn around and they'll walk back and they'll go a corner and then they'll be going down a different road. They'll stop and one of them will go up to one of the buildings and take out what looks like a brick and turn it around and look for something on it and then put it back in. And another time they come to an intersection and there's kind of a guitar string thrumming feeling way down in your guts in this intersection. And one of them stops and pulls out this little shard of crystal and ting, and it starts to shake in time with the huge. And there's this kind of this ear popping thwomp as both of these acoustic things balance each other out, and then fucking hell, they don't even walk through the intersection that they just turned off or whatever the hell they did. They just turn around and go another way. It is, and it is almost overwhelming, the kinds of things that you see. This is 1957. You are an adult. You have seen pictures of post-war Europe. At least, maybe not personally, but at least on I have seen it level, what the world looks like, what a living place looks like when it has been decimated and emptied. That is what it is reminding you of. There are sometimes when you go somewhere, you can clearly see a place that was intended for a use. You have seen guard posts. There's a nice flat wall, and then there's this ovoid blister that was a guard post, or you presume is a guard post. It's on two sides of a big gateway. It's where you would put guards. And they're dead. They're so dead. They're profoundly dead. They're ancient dead. But starting at the base of their skull and running all the way down their spine is a series of like bony, what almost looks like oxtail pieces connecting them to the blister that they're in. Metropolis is a dead city on a profound level. And it is incomprehensibly large. I mean, it's bad. It should be extremely disquieting, because this is not New York. This is not, oh, we're just going to go in here and take over a city. This is something else entirely. But Clara, for all of your perfect posture and perfect tone of voice and everything else, with such charisma and skill that you would make a Bene Gesserit jealous. It works until almost like a switch has flicked. It doesn't. You come around a corner, and all three of them, they weren't on all fours, but they were definitely kind of slinking around and putting their hands on the walls as they walked. All of them immediately at the same time, like as they walk forward, like they do the entire evolution of man print in real time in front of you. All of a sudden their back straight, and you can hear like the bones and the tendons in their lower back and hips cracking as they kind of almost force themselves into a slightly unnatural posture. And they stand up a little bit straighter, and they look at each other and then turn around and look at you. And they are not the same creatures that you so easily intimidated. You have one chance to try to change what you think is about to be violence, or lean into it and do it first.
Oh gosh. I don't even think she has. Do you remember if I said if I traveled with the gun?
You absolutely did.
Okay, that's good.
It's in your purse that isn't an atomic skull.
Yes.
Is the atomic skull a purse now?
I'm carrying it by the hair. Like a
Okay,
purse
so
loop.
it's new.
Yeah,
It's a new style.
it is. Oh gosh. No, she's gonna stick with charisma now. She doesn't know what's changed, but is hoping something is reset behind the eyes. And she goes,
Okay.
are you capable of language now? Because I would very much like to speak with you and your superiors. This is not a fight you want to have.
They're not, that's, you'd think that, wouldn't you? Or you'd hope that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Guns are dangerous in her world.
Yeah, guns are dangerous here too, but sometimes people are more willing to throw down than they wish they were. I got something that lets me actually see the book for Christmas.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I'm happy to roll intimidation again or
Well, are you going for intimidation, or are you trying something a little bit softer?
no, it's a little softer. She wants to treat, like to negotiate. So I guess that would be influence other.
That's what I'm going to argue. It's either that or act under pressure, depending on the way you feel this moment is making Clara feel. Do you think that you're still like in negotiations, or do you feel like you're talking your way out of something imminently violent?
Claire still thinks she's in negotiations. She talked these things down once and they haven't swung a weapon at her. She still thinks she has time.
Roll influence other. Let's see if you do have time.
Yeah. 15 plus 3, so 18. Yep.
Okay, what the hell? Why not?
Sorry, I'm getting them all out now, apparently.
I know. It's just once again, my plan does not involve somebody rolling perfectly for the entire game, which is fine. I'm smiling and having fun. Don't be sorry.
I enjoy violence. Eric would be happily getting her ass kicked right now.
Yes. Okay. So you know for a fucking fact that the way you spoke and the things you said and the body language that you used was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
This could have gotten you in the Carnegie Hall. This could have gotten you into any restaurant you wanted. This could have gotten you past that secretary that Matthew had for like 6 months that really wanted to fuck him. They kept trying to keep all the other ladies out of the office, and you went in there for an afternoon quickie, and she tried to keep you out, and then she wasn't working there anymore. It should have worked. The categories that it also should have worked. And there is something else inside those eyes, and you can watch it. You know that you're communicating with these creatures. They're understanding your language. You see the light of reason, and then something happens behind their eyes and they turn off. Like the light of intellect goes black.
Yeah.
And something leaves them and something else fills them up. And Clara, you're not beaten, but you are subdued. And you are taken away. And we'll leave it there for now, because I think that's where your siblings are going to find you.
That's good.
Goodness.
Okay, Sibs. So how many rations and torches did you bring?
Oh, like none. What are you talking about? I don't know.
5 lobster thermidors.
5 lobster thermidors.
And nothing else.
In a dirty glass.
Basically. Yeah, like what we had on us.
Yeah, we were just coming to find Clara. This is not planned.
Definitely, like, we've got a flask of alcohol, and that's about it.
Our cigarettes.
Yeah, we definitely have cigarettes.
We have our
We're good on
cigarettes. I
that.
have my fancy new lighter.
Ooh,
Yes.
Matthew
Okay.
gave me.
it's true. But yeah, I think that they go through, and that is like, does it close up behind them? Do they leave a terror in reality behind them? Like, what's going on with that aspect?
As you passed through, it was clear that it was trying to seal itself.
Okay, that's what I thought, because it was a quick thing.
Yeah, remember the mechanics of the illusion are actively malicious or actively working against you. It is not a passive system. And so you feel it kind of trying to draw close. However, also it was a fairly savage tear. And if you wanted to open a hole again, this would probably be the best place that you know of to try, unless you can find somewhere else that's equally perforated.
Okay.
Good to know.
Good to know.
I think that the first thing, Matthew is going to do is take in the area. and try to see if there's any signs of someone going a certain direction. Because his like mind is like, where's Clara? How do I get to Clara?
Yeah. You are surrounded on all sides. Now, I described them to Clara, but it seems like they have changed since these two visual moments happened. You are surrounded by these impossibly tall, towering, four-sided towers of black, like lead, metally, stonish stuff, and they reach up into the sky. Following them up with your head will induce vertigo. They are too high. It is like you are in. It is like, in many ways, it's not the way Matthew sees it, but the way you could imagine it is like the high-powered microscope pictures, almost, where like you see human hair and things like that, and they're these giant, crazy-looking towering structures. It's a little bit like that, in that you feel like the scale and scope of something is off.
Okay.
And there is a pile of ashes there, and what looks like a couple pieces of maybe some cloth.
The first thing he's going to do is bend down to look at the cloth, and because I think that there's a little tiny part of him that's terrified that's Clara.
Oh,
Like he has no way of knowing, right? Like and
Yeah.
so like checking to see whether or not like it is Clara's clothing. I think is his first thing, and like it's that sort of thing where there's that look of like pale, focused panic on his face when that happens. That like, you know, there's the level of conceal, don't feel, but there's also a level of oh god, oh god, oh god.
Yes.
I'm
a parent. I know that.
Yeah. So like I think the first thing he does is like drops to one knee to look at that.
Clara has never worn any. Clara did not leave the house in this color. This is, as near as you can tell, like clearly it's experienced some calamity. It's like a boring, very simple, boring brown, which is not what Clara went out in. And it's also, it's wool, like it's suit wool. So
He basically just breathes a sigh out, and will get up and look at Bethany and say, it's not her.
Good. But where is she?
That is the second question.
Okay.
this is not like, even if either of you was a tracker, which you're absolutely not. This is not the ground by which you would find footprints.
Yeah.
However, while we're here, how about you two roll any like Sixth Sense and all of that stuff. I'm going to be back in 2 minutes. I have to step away from the microphone for just a second, so you guys roll those dice, and then I will be rushing right back.
Will do.
Yep.
I have to use online dice roller because I forgot my dice where I am right now. Okay. Well, that wasn't too bad. Okay.
Oh, but plus soul. So
Yeah, your soul is good.
yeah,
I got
soul is good.
I got a 12.
Well, I rolled, so my Sixth Sense, I rolled a 7, but soul is +4, so that's 11. So it's in the middle for that. I'm gonna go ahead and roll schizophrenia because we're here now. And I can't find my sister who did this.
I'll ask Ben whether or not I should be rolling infirm.
Yeah. Oh, good. I rolled a 6.
Oh no.
I rolled a 6. I'm at -2 to disadvantage rolls. So that's a 4.
So I like how I was like well, we're in Metropolis, so Bethany's going to be the most useful person here.
Bethany's just like, this is not how I planned to get here. And I'm here now. And I have what I wanted, and I'm not sure what to do, because this was not really the plan, because we didn't do this all together, and I can't find my sister, and the door is closing behind us, and I didn't make the rip, and I don't know how to get back. If I need to, I shouldn't need to, but yeah, Bethany's gently freaking out.
Okay.
Okay. Bethany got a 4 on her schizophrenia roll.
Yeah, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
I was like, no, we're here, and she can't find Clara, and so we're gonna roll for schizophrenia.
Oh, totes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's darkest
So
time.
we're at.
And she rolled
Okay.
in the middle for her sixth sense, so she can still do things kind of ahead of time. But there just might be things that aren't real, or all the things that aren't real might become real, or
Everything is awful.
Everything's awful.
Everything is awful. Okay, Matthew, what flavor of awful are you this afternoon?
Mhm.
Oh, frozen, maybe.
No, Frozen. Yeah. There he is.
Okay.
There we go.
Back on.
Yes, great.
Yeah, no, I was just so jarred by the experience that I was transported to a place where I have not great internet connection. But yeah, no, I was gonna ask, I'm gonna just rely on you to tell me if I ever need to roll infirm if something traumatic happens. I don't know how much more traumatic we're getting, so I'm just gonna rely on you.
Well, I think that, how about you roll it now? Because we're kind of
Okay.
we've
That's
paused the
sort
scene
of where
for a
we're
minute.
at.
So
Yeah.
roll it now, because I have a feeling that right now this is very stressful. And when you realize that the wheels are coming off of Bethany, that's
Yeah.
probably going to be enough to make this a plus stressor.
Yeah, I got a 16, which good job, Matthew.
Yeah.
My magical intuition roll was a 12 plus when it was plus soul.
Mhm.
But I'd rather have the really good roll for this, so good job. So my condition is under control.
Great.
For magical intuition, I don't know how much I actually can get from this, quite frankly. Does something have a magical nature? Yes.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Where's the illusion thinnest? Points at the perforated sadness. And the other one is about a creature, and I don't see any creatures right now. So I'm not really sure if there's much I can see at this time. But I got basically, I have 2 options, and one can be saved till later this scene. So
Okay. We'll use them a little fast and loose.
yeah, feel free to have it be something pretty minor, because I know that magical intuition isn't really for this sort of thing.
Yeah. It's kind of a vibe check.
He's going to be mostly focusing on trying to help ground Bethany by because he knows the signs, right? And so he's going to take her hand and kind of do the forehead to forehead thing they do sometimes to kind of ground her breathing.
Okay.
And say to her, tell me what you see, and I'll tell you if I see it.
Okay.
Bethany, everything around you, and this is not the first time you've experienced this. If you remember, when we were in the weird mushroomy prophet hospital, you got this vibe. There is this sense that everything around you is a eggshell thin, extremely brittle layer on some kind of terrible fleshy horror.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see anything, but you are absolutely convinced that should you interact with your environment too strongly, that parts of it will shatter and fall away, and rotten meat and bones and indescribable organs will just start oozing out of the ground and the walls, and they're going to cover you and drown you.
So it feels like the Inferno is attempting to infect Metropolis. Kind of.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
This other terrible meats.
Yeah, this is, I mean, remember, you lived with the influence of Inferno for an unpleasantly long time.
Yes. I was just trying to be like, wait, just which unpleasant meats are we in?
No, that was more Hellraisery. That was like meat plus mutilation and things. This is just the kind of like an external version of like body revulsion.
Okay.
It's like everywhere around you is just like a revulsion time bomb. And you have to like be very careful and cautious. And you can do it, but if the littlest thing happens, you're going to cascade.
Yep. Okay. It's all very fragile. Why is Metropolis fragile? It's supposed to be made out of stone and metal, and it's not supposed to feel like this.
It looks... Does it have the same sort of decaying look? Or like Dead City look? Or does it look like it's actually like pretty chill? To Matthew, at least.
It looks abandoned. To Matthew, in this spot, because you guys haven't really moved, the vibe is like, okay, steel mills are huge. One of the things that they have in them inside this terrifyingly large footprint is usually a rail yard for trains. Like they're that big that the trains come into the steel mill and they load them and they come out. And this is a place that Matthew has been at night.
Yeah.
You know, Papa Mal had to take you out to the middle of the train yard and give you some big like father-son speech, and he just picked some bullshit place because he was drama. It reminds you of that immobile, sleeping, abandoned dustiness of the train yard when no one is there.
Okay.
So you get a sense that like things have / had purpose around you, but right now they do not have a purpose because they are not put to use. And as they are not put to use, their definition is being lost. They are becoming undefinable. You don't have the understanding to see what they are, and much like when it's dark and you're around rail cars, they just look like geometry.
So I want you to understand that I'm taking this 100% as Matthew would see it, with all the information going in. And what that means is hubris. So what he replies to Bethany when she says, you know, why does it seem so fragile, is that he looks around and he says, it's fragile because it has no one to lead it.
Oh, good. I was hoping you'd say that as we got that description.
No, 100%. He's like, it is lost and it needs a leader. That's why we're here.
Yes. Okay. So we can fix it. So we need to find Clara.
She is in Metropolis.
Yes.
She is part of us.
Yes.
And so he will take off his glove and he'll put it on the ground and he'll put Bethany's hand over his and just kind of be like, can you try to find the connection from her, from me to this city? And this is actually like him basically trying with her sixth sense to like have like the clue of a lead or something. But like, it's not his power, but he's basically offering to be a conduit for her because she's done stuff like this before where like she just pulls things out of thin air. And so he doesn't know how to help outside of to guide Bethany.
Yes. Pause, because I need to ask, we need to shift the camera to Clara because we need a piece of information from this lady before I tell you how well that worked.
Let's find out.
Clara, you have been you've been beaten, but it's beaten in a very workmanlike way. It's not like, it wasn't a personalized beating.
Yeah.
It was just like, you are being beaten just so you know that we can beat you. You know, it's very like awful prison guard trope sort of stuff. And you are led / dragged / carried, depending on their mood, to, you can't see much of it because you're not really in the perfect place and situation to observe, but you are dragged into kind of down somewhere, not underground, but kind of like down a hill. Imagine a I know them from Terminator 2, not the real life, the giant water ducts like outside of Los Angeles, those giant concrete narrow at the bottom trapezoids. It's that scale, like you're dragged down a surface that's that high, but it's rippling, not in real time, but it's like it's rippled. And it almost feels like super old glass, because glass isn't technically a solid. So it slowly is oozing to the bottom, and you kind of get that very gentle sort of ripply vibe. Yeah, it's just a little bit too organic, but it's as cold as metal.
Okay.
So we hates it. And you are dragged into what seems to be a shanty town. There are repurposed pieces of like thin sheet metal and what looks like fungus, like thick woody fungus, like this big around, is being used as a building material. There's pieces of metal that look like they've been stripped out of things and used as wrapping. I mean, there are animal products here. You think you can see some furs and some hides and some what looks like sinews and things like that being used. It is a deranged mess. It is dirty. It smells bad, and it smells alien bad. Like, you are like, logically you understand that what you're smelling is probably the filth of a unsewered urban area, but it is not the smell. It doesn't smell like your feces, but like you are still interpreting it as a unclean smell. Just looking around in the moments that you get, you kind of look around and go, oh, this is not a clean place, therefore the smell I'm smelling must be a smell of not clean. There are things cooking over open fires, and the fires are kind of weird and guttery, and there's too many colors in them, and you're not going to look really hard at the shape of the stuff that's cooking, and it's generally a bad time. But you are dragged to the center of this, or what feels like the center, and pushed into a cage that is made of like long, impossibly thin blades of Metropolis metal. But they're not part of the environment. They have actually like been jammed into things like wood and various. So it's this big, gross, jury-rigged cage, and it's got stuff woven between it, and it's got sharp bits in it. Like, if you grabbed this cage and tried to rock it back and forth, you would slash your hands to pieces. If one of your captors decided they were mad at you, like, the cage is a little flexible. It's clearly meant to be hope to God short-term containment, but it's not meant to be unbreakable. It's meant to be so painful as to make breaking out impossible. And you are fairly certain that if one of your captors grabbed this and shook it, that the things it would do to you would be very terrible. So you are here, you are slightly bloody, you are uncomfortable and unpleasant, but the thing that I need to ask you, as you get this moment and you kind of feel where the swelling is and kind of notice you've got a really, maybe not a goose egg, but at least a duck egg, you know, on your forehead, and you feel like, you know, that lip's going to need makeup for about 2 weeks and some of those other things. But what I need you to tell me, Clara, is do you have Matthew's little tie pin? The one that transferred to you.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever give that back to him, or have you kept it on you?
No, she's kept it on her. That's the mark she wanted to keep.
Well, in this case, for you, the answer I will say to that is good. Bethany, roll plus soul. Let's just see how it vibes.
Okay. So that's a 16 plus 4, so that's 20.
All right.
We're
Yeah.
getting either like nothing or like really high.
That's all we got.
Nothing in between.
Nothing in between.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Game is closing early. We're going to go to a casino together, and we are either never going to work again or live off ramen for the rest of our lives.
We did get that 4, so maybe no casino.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bethany, the possessive nature that your siblings have between each other isn't healthy.
No.
It is in many ways one of the ways that romance and love has been modeled for you in your life, which isn't okay.
Yeah.
But it is one of your examples. And so two things are kind of working. Well, a handful of things are working for you. One of them is the very animalistic possessiveness they feel for each other, because there is a possessiveness it's not intellectual possessiveness. Like there's a lot of possessiveness going up here in the superego. This is down here where the monkeys and the lizards still live. This is pee on it so people smell it and know it's mine kind of possessive. And that creates a link, and you don't like feeling that link.
No.
Like it is definitely not, like it is not your favorite rope to pull on. So we try to find a couple other things here. You find the love that they have for each other, and that the love they have for you. You can find shared trauma. The experience of descending into Inferno. The experience of burying your father. The words "Papa's dead."
Yeah.
Flickers down that line, which were the words that Bethany said when she called Matthew. And then there's something else. There's something not quite them. There's something very Matthew. There is a single low bass guitar string, metal guitar string, kind of that cool humming feeling, and it just hums mine, 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 mine. And you can feel that, and you can run your fingers along it on a kind of a synesthesia sort of thing. You can kind of run your fingers along that. And this is something, and you can feel that it's been anchored in that animalistic possessiveness and the love and all of the other things that they developed for each other. But that's where it was grown. So it grew in good soil. But what came out of it was Metropolis, was metal, was power. And that is the thing you can run your fingers on and feel your way to your sister.
Gonna take Matthew's Metropolis hand and see if I can get him to also feel it.
Ooh, that's such a good idea, Matthew. Roll plus soul and see if it works.
Will do. My little die roller. Got it. 12.
Okay. you feel it. You don't get the whole sense that Bethany had, but you definitely and you can actually feel it from whatever part of your body you would imagine that this connection came from. Head, heart, anywhere else, you can feel it. Pick a chakra, any chakra.
It's a combo. It's a combo.
So a suspension bridge of trauma and possessiveness is kind of coming out of Matthew.
Hashtag complicated.
Yeah, and you can feel it. It's not perfect. You very much feel like you're holding on to a line in a really bad weather.
Yeah.
That like you can feel it, but you have to stop and you have to pay attention to it, and it has to be the core of your focus. Otherwise, you're going to lose it in all of the other things that's happening. But Clara, in this moment, one good thing happens. You are holding that little tie clip in your hand, knowing that it's Matthew's, and kind of using it. It's your equivalent of the picture of your loved one that you have in your wallet, and it tugs 3 times. It moves in your hand like the planchette on a Ouija board.
Good. She plays with it more. She rubs her thumb on it more, warms it up more, waits. She took the beating very nobly, kind of holding on herself, and protected her center and let them do what they needed to do, and then was drugged down there, shoulders high, chin up, not letting these dirty people see her be broken. And now she's just smiling a bit as she sits there bleeding and bruised, or stands, if she can even, I don't know if she can even sit on this floor, whatever the floor is.
Yeah, you could sit on the floor, but like you have to very carefully kind of, it's a yoga trick.
Yes.
To get yourself down crisscross applesauce.
Yes.
On this floor.
But she just smiles and holds on to it, rubbing, waiting.
They're just fantastic Hannibal Lecter vibes right now. Which I love.
Bethany has to look. She is watching Matthew to see if he can feel it.
Okay.
After a few moments, he gives the smile, and it's like incredibly, that sort of thing of like, there is that very incredibly like possessive, almost animalistic sort of grit of the teeth to it. He says, I can feel her.
Bethany looks so relieved. She doesn't care about how gross her siblings are. She looks so relieved. She's like, okay, then it's real. That's real. We follow that. And she's running her fingers along the air, just lightly touching that thread.
Matthew will look at Bethany, and the thing that's interesting about Matthew and Clara and Matthew and Bethany that I really love actually at this point is based on just the things that have occurred to them. Matthew and Clara have this bond, they have this animalistic passion, they have this possessive passion over each other, but Bethany and Matthew have a far higher connection, of relationship connection, because they keep building on understanding each other. And so there's the thing of that Clara and Matthew are meshed as an incredibly intimate, deeply in love, fucked up couple that doesn't fully understand each other, whereas Matthew and Bethany have an understanding of each other, but don't have that passion, which is for the best. Let's just put that there. Let's just put that out there. The best for the best. And so, like, I like that there's that sort of aspect of like, through understanding the passion that Matthew and Clara have, because Bethany understands Matthew on an intrinsic level, she's able to tap into that so well and help them all find each other. And I just think that that's really cool on like a thematic level, and I wanted to point that out. But yeah, he's gonna follow it. He's gonna follow it and walk towards it and try to find her.
Okay. As I described to Erica, the paths in Metropolis are not straight. It's like I don't want to get too like fey about it, but there's some fairy ring bullshit going on. And so, but also you don't know how to navigate it. You don't know about the brick, and you don't know about having to walk forward and back, and you don't have a little piece of glass to tune out the thrumming murder. But what you do have is a connection. You have something on the other side. So what I would like you to do, Matthew and Clara, is to roll act under pressure.
Okay. And that's cool, right?
Yeah. I think. Better be.
Yeah, I'm good with that. That is an 11.
It's not a 9.
No.
Like, I keep getting middle of the road rolls. Everybody else is getting on.
Yeah, I rolled an 18, so I'm a 19. So.
Okay. Clara, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And you manage not to have any physical experiences that would bounce you around inside this cage. Because essentially what is happening is that Matthew and Clara are trying to draw the way straight. Just for a moment. Now, this is not completely rearranging Metropolis. This is just unbullshitting a tiny bit of the bullshit for like 5 minutes. But overall it works, except Matthew, on your side, it's a lot harder. You're not in one place. You're actually having to traverse. And so the thing that actually gets you is there's an intersection and it's humming like a big electric something. And it's this deep, like, internal organ, liver rattling hum. And you feel that you have to navigate this somehow, and you're feeling it. And you understand that that there's something missing to this equation. You're not sure what, but you understand that this is something that needs to be dealt with. But you also think that maybe you can around it in some way, but it doesn't work quite perfectly. And some of the murderous, annihilating infrasound brushes you. Roll to avoid harm.
Thought that was going to happen. The moment that you were like murderous energy, I was like, oh, balls. Yes! For once, I get the high roll.
No.
Yes! I just got a
Amazing.
16.
Nice.
Wait. I might have a -1 from reflexes because I'm not a reflex person. No, actually, I have a +1. It's a 17.
Okay, great. So Bethany, what you see is when Matthew does something incomprehensible in this moment. Now, remember, Bethany is the one that found this. And so, Bethany, when you are kind of watching what Matthew is doing and observing the way Metropolis is responding, you're learning some things. You don't know what you've learned yet, and I am absolutely not equipped to define what the fuck they were.
Cool,
but you're getting some data.
Good.
And you actually watch across the back of Matthew's suit. Like it does you turn on the sand machine, the sand cleaning machine, and the sand starts to do the circular ripple. You see his clothes start to do that in a moment, and you're just like, oh shit, he's gonna die. And then and then despite nobody moving, it stops and it feels like you are somewhere else.
Huh. Okay.
This is normal.
Yeah,
It
I'm
happened and you came with me, so it was real.
It's I feel like Matthew completely doesn't notice this because you mentioned that he has to keep complete focus. So like this is all Bethany.
Mhm. This is great. Well, Bethany doesn't trust her brain.
Yep.
It's 100%. She's like, nope,
Good
don't
job.
know if it's real or not.
Good job, us. We're doing great.
Bethany learned some things, but she's not sure if they're real or if her brain is doing it or if her brain doing it makes it real.
Welp,
Okay.
asking the big questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, like I used simple terms to describe what you guys just did, but I do want to like take a minute and restate that it was definitely a weird, crazy thing that just happened. It was Minotaur, ball of yarn. Who held the other end of the ball of yarn? Perseus? Theseus?
Theseus and Ariadne?
I think so. It's close enough.
Spider?
It,
I
but
think.
it was absolutely a ball of yarn
Mhm.
through a labyrinth sort of vibe.
Yeah.
And that there was equal death and danger that you were passing by in this. It was not a calm, gentle walk down Central Park. It was fraught. And when you finish kind of navigating this little piece, you get a better picture of it than Clara did. It is a dish. The sides curve in and then down. It goes down 25, 30 feet. At least you think so. I mean, if you assume that this shanty town is like about a person and a quarter or a person and a half tall, it looks like that's about right. And so it is a giant, it is not indescribably big, like not huge, but it is difficult. The dimensions are difficult to ascertain. It is round, and there is a terrifying, just ramshackle accumulation of residences all down and around this. And you see some cook fires, and they're like some of the smoke, and you hear noises and what could be maybe music, and it's not great. And above it, however, looking far more Van Horsty than the place where Clara ended up, not her fault, is a arced bridge. It's very organic. It's all flowing lines. If to call up in your mind all of the future artwork of the time or everything where nothing had a right angle. And it's this impossibly thin, like you swear to God, it's paper thin bridge of metal that's arcing in this perfect geometrical arc over this whole cistern and ending at a building. Maybe it terminates into a large roundish shape that is clearly something because it has a front. And you can't see it because the front is kind of recessed a little bit. So first of all, the lighting isn't great, and also it's under some shadow, but it gives the vibe of a building. And it looks like the only building that's supposed to be here whenever this thing was built.
And does the line lead to that building, or does the line lead into the shanty town?
The line leads directly to the building.
Okay. Matthew's like, well, that's good at least. Clara's at least not with the poor.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Mhm.
There's a reason I use words. This is why I'm on TTRP Theater and not Art Station.
The worst. But yeah, no, like he at this point, Matthew is basically drenched in sweat. This has been a huge amount of effort.
Yeah.
He's got one hand kind of almost clutching this imaginary string, and the other hand clutching in like a death grip Bethany's hand, I feel.
Mhm.
And he looks up towards the building and says, that's where she is, and that's where we're going to get her back.
Perfect.
Let's go.
Commercial break?
Yeah.
Commercial break.
Yeah, it's a little bit before 9:30, but it's close enough.
Mhm.
So we're going to take our little 5-10 minute. It's 9:21 by my clock, so we'll see you back at 9:30, and we will then we'll get the gang back together, and we'll see how bad it's going to get, because it's going to get bad.
I'm sure.
Oh
Yeah.
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 You told me. Elon said, "Don't be nice. Like, go
I,
whole
I
hog."
believe my exact words were "fuck me up, fam." So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think fuck me up. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, but
like
that's
our personal motto, though.
it really is.
Like-
It's the out of character motto of this player group.
Yeah, it's
like
pretty.
someone needs to figure out what "fuck me up, fam" is in the most pretentious of Latin.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I could put my high school Latin to use.
Anyway, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we will see you in a few minutes. So thank you.
Hello, boys and girls. How would you like to be a vampire? What about a superhero? Have you ever dreamt of being a bounty hunter in a dystopian city full of vagrants and violence? Is being in the blast of an atomic bomb a rush? Did you write Travel to Inferno on your bucket list? I thought so. You need to join TTRP Theater, where they take that negative thinking and turn it to positive thoughts. Curious? Of course you are. All of the cool kids join the TTRP Theater Discord, and the really cool ones subscribe to the TTRP Theater YouTube channel. The truly ambitious role players out there follow TTRP Theater on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. TTRP Theater streams live games on Twitch. They upload fresh podcasts and video episodes. They have a vibrant community full of artists, gamers, LARPers, creatives, and storytellers, role players, dungeon, and game masters from all parts of the globe, just like you. Join TTRP Theater for some romps through trauma and laughter, sometimes at the same time. TTRP Theater. Positive thoughts for negative minds.
So, welcome back. And just a reminder, in case for some reason anybody jumps back into the stream, this game and a couple of the next games are going to feature very heavy themes of like slavery and loss of consent and head fucking and that kind of stuff. So consume with self-care. So if it's good fun for you, stay along. If it's not good fun for you, don't worry, it won't be forever, and we'll see you soon. So that said, okay, now all the ducks are in a row. So you two are seeing Shantytown. There's a couple of what looks like they're not quite bridges, they're not quite ramps, some kind of very rough and tumble things that get you down into the shantytown. You see some humanoids down there. There's some things wrong with their symmetry. Like there's kind of an uncanny valley-ish vibe to them.
Do they look at all like the things that we've seen before? Like the various demonic-y. I can never remember their name.
In what place are you referencing? Just overall, or is there one that's coming to mind?
The
Azadeva.
Yes.
No. The Azadeva are profoundly distinct. This is not them.
Okay. Okay.
The
Just
Azadeva
wanted to make sure.
Yes, the Azadeva are tall, they're bald, they have shark teeth, they have jet black eyes, Their torsos are skinned and covered in smoked glass armor, wherein you can see their internal organs and black wriggling worms underneath them. It's like their armor's been bolted onto their body. As a Deva's stick in the memory.
Yeah,
I can-
which is why I was like, do we see any of those? Because that would be concerning.
No. Azadevas are the hallucinogens.
Yes, the
Are the
Oz
hallucinogen concubines.
Yeah.
Asghouls
are
Yeah.
are the war forms.
the maid of them.
Yeah. I mean,
what you
either,
mean.
quite frankly. But do we see anything that looks like those angels that happened at one time in my dream?
No, thankfully.
Okay. All good. Good signs, good signs. I'm sure we won't have any problems.
No, everything's fine.
Is there any way so basically to get to the bridge, my understanding is that you need to go through the town. Is that accurate?
No, the bridge goes over the town.
Okay, because we're trying to get to the building, correct?
Yes, the bridge starts at the level of the ground that you are at. It arcs
Okay.
up and then over to the building on the other side of the bridge. Drawn using those 2 points as diameter, as 2 sides of a radius, there is a circular depression about 25 or 30 feet down under the bridge. And in that space is the shanty town. So if you go over the bridge, you are literally looking down upon the poor.
I think that is the natural place for the Van Horsts to go then.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
So, somewhere our youngest sibling is just looking at us and like,
Yeah, is he so mad?
Izzy's just like, everything about you makes me sad.
Izzy's still
fine.
mad that someone else lost their hand.
I was like, yeah, if we finally find her, you can compare.
Yeah. When you step on the bridge, a sound happens. It is strange and rippling, and it is difficult to describe, but it in your mind it almost feels like the way when something is dropped into still water, the shape of those ripples is the way the sound feels. But it is a very brassy instrumental noise. So it's somewhere between kind of like a gong and a horn.
So it's not subtle.
No.
Good to know. I think that especially because it's like, well, we ring the doorbell essentially. Matthew's just going to start striding across.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
What is subtlety?
Yeah. Clara, this note rings out, and in the shanty town, it is worse. You are on the inside of the instrument, so it is a rattling sound, and it immediately if you can imagine the way people describe acting, this is going to be a heavy description. If you can imagine the way people describe acting when their abusive parent is about to be home, that immediate rush, it is that, but cultural. Like every single one of these creatures that you can see is doing that thing, all in different ways. And all of their faces have been surgically altered. Most of them are pretty bad. None of them are very good at all. It's brutal work, and it's not nice work. And they're all very panicky, and they're dragging things into these buildings. Some of them are dragging things out of these buildings. There's all of these woven. They've got to be good luck charms or something. They look like a curled claw or a leafless tree. Either like this, either like a hand with a curled, like an arm with a curled claw at the end, or a mace or a ball or something. It's definitely some kind of a symbol, because you see them being hung out everywhere as if they're supposed to protect against something, or they're supposed to invoke something. There's something cultural here, something culturally dramatic, and what almost seems dangerous is happening here. And now as the sound mellows out, you hear dun, 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 dun. It's like two sets of footprints that are slightly out of sync. And then after about 10 steps, they sync. And it's a very strong Alexander the Great vibes in that footprint. It's Matthew.
Mhm.
It has to be.
She's listening, and she sits up a little straighter, but she doesn't stand. She doesn't want to show fear, not like these creatures around her. So she isn't acting all that different. She's waiting patiently for her hopeful savior to come.
Yeah.
And also putting on a brave face for Matthew. She doesn't want to worry too much. She's trying.
So you've got your face put on, so to speak. You've kind of prepared all of your stuff. Your shoulders are straight. You're ready to handle everything, except probably for what actually happens. One of these creatures, and this cosmetic surgery, it is surgery that is appearance based, which is why I would call it cosmetic surgery. This is a brutal, inhuman thing that has been done to them. This work was either done by a more skilled artisan, or something went better, because this person's face is actually convincingly human. Not great, but convincingly. Like when its eyes are open and you can see its eyes recessed a little bit too much behind the thin stone, their eyebrows actually go up and their skin wrinkles a little bit. So, okay. And it is wearing and it shines like a lighthouse beacon in this dirty, dull environment. They're wearing like a single piece of wrap around, it's over this shoulder, under this arm, wrapped around their body, made out of this incredible shimmering material that almost like, you can't tell if it's either like a sequin trick or if it's actually slightly vibrating, but there's a shimmer to it. And in addition to the more immediate logistical concerns and the social concerns, and this is probably the most highest ranked, whatever the hell these are, that you have seen yet. So something different is going to happen. There is a part in the back of Clara's mind that goes, oh my God, I need 50 yards of that.
Yeah.
Just imagining what it would look like under a spotlight is like compelling.
She's queen.
Yeah.
Women rulers will have all of it. It's fine.
I love you guys. I love you guys so much. Actually, the thing that impresses me the most, like one of the things that impresses me the most out of your role playing, because I'm going to be nice to my friends, fuck it, is your ability to continually recontextualize a moment from inside the Van Horst mindset. Like all of you can do it, and it's so amazing. Like, here's a fucked up thing. That's okay. We'll own it later. Like, damn. Okay. That's all right. Once we talk to the bank, we'll solve that problem.
It's our fucked up thing now.
Yeah.
No, what's ours will fix it.
Yeah.
And they'll be so grateful to us that we fixed that fucked up thing because we're just so much better.
Yeah. Is that
If you act or think like a Van Horst, go to therapy.
Yeah.
Please, please,
Is
Please,
it approaching Clara, that fucked up thing?
Yeah, it's walking right up to her. And Clara, for a minute there, you're like, oh, royalty. Oh, a boss person. And all of a sudden, as it gets closer, you can kind of see the way it's acting and the way it's communicating in a far more advanced version of the sibilant tongue.
Mm-hmm.
This is not royalty. This is a fucking stage manager. This is, maybe that's the wrong term, but this is the guy who makes everybody is in the right spot. And if something is missing, they're the one who runs around and yells at people until they find it.
Mm-hmm.
It's them. They're middle management.
We've dealt with middle
troubleshooting.
management before. Okay. I can
Excuse me.
guarantee you that I don't belong in this cage. And whomever you're preparing for will wish to speak with me.
It stares at you in abject shock and horror when you start talking, and then one of its eyes visibly rolls back in its head. And I don't mean like rolls up to here, I mean it rolls. And you can see like nervous tissue and other things kind of balling up around it, like hair caught in a blender. And it says, "Are you really human?"
I have lived on Elysium, but I'm of this place.
But are you human?
Yes.
It says fantastic in the way that a cartoon shark says fantastic and its smile goes like all the way around its head kind of vibe.
Oh no. Clara's just like, internally, I've made a mistake.
I'm in danger.
Yeah.
And it turns to these two other creatures, and they're clearly, I mean, like I said, these are all unhealthy relationships. Like there's a lot of fawning behavior going on. There's a lot of physically lowering themselves, and all of those incredibly blatant, straightforward. Like there's a tremendous amount of power inequality, even at this point, and it is clearly enforced with violence. It's hard to miss. So it says to them something in that language, and they come over and they start doing whatever complicated bits of kind of Chinese finger trap bullshit they use to open up this cage. And the Shining One reaches their hand out to you and says, "Please come with me."
Oh, we're here now. She gives him her hand and stands up as smoothly as she can.
Mm-hmm.
While I am from Elysium, I am one known as the Van Horsts. Our family is from here. We intend to help this place. We have powers that humans don't, so I'm not entirely human.
That's a hell of a thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
It was the right thing to say, and I loved it, but it's a hell of a thing to say. How about you roll read a person, which is plus intuition. However, because their face has been dramatically damaged, we'll add a -2 to that.
That's fine.
because their
My
micro
intuition
expressions are.
is a +2, so I'm at whatever my straight roll is. 11. So
All right.
middle.
Yeah, you may ask one question. Are you lying? How do you feel right now? What are you about to do? What do you wish I would do? Or how could I get you to ... Or wild card. But
How could I get you to obey me?
I'm so sorry, Ben. This is just
okay.
who our characters are.
No, it's honestly, I'm just indulging in a moment of self-flagellation for not saying, of course they're going to ask that.
Well, if I only get one question, that's the important one.
No, it's good. Okay. This is a violent power structure.
Mhm.
This is a clearly pyramid-shaped power structure. There's somebody at the top of this, and you need to put your foot on their neck.
Yep, sounds
And
right.
you need to do it as hard as everyone, as hard as the rest of this pyramid does. Like that's who it is. You're clearly going up the pyramid of importance.
Yep.
But yeah, it is so clearly and upsettingly it's a terrible place. And if it's not a caste system, it's the inequality is terrible and profound.
Yeah.
So you are being led to the opposite side from whence you came in, which is where two other people are also walking. This bridge shouldn't have taken you this long. You don't think? It feels like you've been walking on here for a couple of minutes, where your visual estimate, you're like, I should be done with this bridge by now. However, as you guys start walking across, kind of like as you get to what you think is the apex, the midpoint, you hear they eventually match up with you because of the nature of the thing you're standing on, but you hear the treads of many sets of feet that are coming up the bridge. And what you see is, excuse me, a double row, so two at a time, coming down the center of the bridge is what is clearly an honor guard. Because these are not hard and rough and tumble violent people who are ready to fucking kill somebody. Everything they're doing is very nice, tight, and organized and designed to be seen. And so they get to a certain point and they stop and they back up. Now, bear in mind, there is no railing on this bridge. So the heels of their shoes are absolutely like a 32nd of an inch from the edge. And they all have kind of spear-looking things. It's a very flat leaf-bladed head, but it is hollow, so it's almost like if you could imagine the cell tracing of a spearhead and then sharpened it. It looks like that. And there are two big, long, curving prongs about 18 inches down these approximately 6-foot long spears. They're very vicious looking weapons. And they are wearing single cloth, very similar things, single cloth wraps that go over one shoulder, under the other, around the body a few times. But they are also wearing it's got to be ceremonial, because like armor shouldn't look like this. It's stupid. They're wearing like a solid metal pectoral, just a solid plate of metal that starts right about here, goes down to what's probably their belly button or their waist if they're a human, and straight across. It's a rectangle. It has markings on it. You have no idea what the hell they are. They are not a picture. They are, like maybe there's a diagrammy piece over here, but clearly, and they're all the same.
Do they look anything similar to certain other metal tablets that we've seen in the past?
It could maybe possibly be the same language or language family,
Okay.
but considering you don't speak the language that those binding
Yeah,
tablets were written in, it's kind of like, are these familiar squiggles?
it's more like, does this look like a binding tablet in itself?
No, it absolutely
Okay.
does not. This looks like armor. I think from also you have some magical intuition, and we can use one of those
Yeah.
here. It looks like that these are as mundane as anything could be in Metropolis.
Mhm.
It looks like they are a giant piece of metal that incidentally has writing on it.
Okay.
So,
And is the honor guard, is the other being in Clara with that honor guard, or is it just the honor guard?
it is just the honor guard. Clara, you are being led to the base of the side, which has there's a projection out that leads up to, looks like the place that Clara and Bethany are, Matthew and Bethany are walking to, is a tower that's connected to the side. You are led in. What's interesting to note is that the door down here has been blatantly savaged. It's like this door is not shut. This door has been attacked with chisels and hammers and items, and the door has been physically removed. They did a really good job of covering it up. There's some really beautiful tapestries and some other things. Like the most colorful pieces that you've seen here are layered around this to make it look very fancy, almost like a combination of like maitre d' station and security checkpoint. So this is clearly a not only a security divide, but this is a class divide. And you are led behind it and into the tower. Unless you want to do something right now, like totally, like feel free to interrupt me as I'm monologuing. Okay. All of the guards on the bridge have also had their faces surgically altered. Bethany.
Yep.
Can we use a sixth sense?
Yeah, we totally can.
You recognize not the face, but you recognize from your own experiences and your own life the kind of thinking that mania or madness or obsession would create. So whoever possesses the physical and cultural power enough to essentially force everyone in this area to put a mask on underneath their skin, they all want everyone to look like that statue. And it is an act of significant mental instability. This is, I mean, like madness sees madness and recognizes it.
Yeah.
So this is not okay.
Yep.
And just to be clear, like this is John Wayne Gacy level fucked up. This isn't like person struggling with mental health issues. This is way up here, you know, 3-part true crime podcast fucked up.
Yeah.
And then there is someone standing at the end of the bridge, and they are clearly not honor guard, and they see you and they start walking towards you. You get a chance to really take them in. They are wearing shining brassy gold cloth, and it is wrapped around them, starting like way up here, right below their chin, and they are wrapped in it in overlapping layers. If you've ever seen like a sword hilt, a sword handle that has been wrapped in that beautiful overlapping pattern, it is like that, but every inch of them. Their individual fingers, of which there are 7 on this hand and 3 on this hand, and this one has too many joints. This there's kind of like there's an elbow in this part of their hand, but over here it almost looks like a hip joint.
Okay.
So its entire movement structure is extremely weird and kind of too many things are moving in too many directions at once. But at the same time, in as much as its body posture is difficult to tell, it also gives that vibe of being in control and being regal. And this is wearing a mirrored mask, just a Cobra Commander matching brassy gold mirror, just a flat faceplate.
Okay.
And it's walking and it's looking. You can feel its regard. It seems that its head is generally shaped like a human head, in that it seems to be that the front is pointed at what it's looking at. However, it stops and looks at one of the honor guard and seems to inspect its face, and kind of goes up this part of their face where the surgery starts and looks around and then turns and walks away. But as it gets within speaking distance, it stops maybe 20 feet away. Is there any okay, I'm monologuing too much and I'm sorry.
No, we're taking this in.
Yeah.
Okay. Then interrupt me if I move past a point where you want to take an action. Like, don't just, it's not a cutscene. You can stop me anytime. So
I think we're waiting at the edge of the honor guard for it to show up, because it should obviously be coming to us.
yes.
Like, if I can read the Van Horsts, I think we're waiting because, you've come to meet us as you're coming to welcome us home. Good job.
Yes. I think Elon slowed down for a second.
I think
okay.
A little frozen, and we want Matthew for this.
Yeah, yes, there we go. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Wait, it's all right.
Sorry, Curtis.
Yeah.
I'm in a place with terrible internet right now. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Once again, be nice to your back of the house. They say they save you when things go wrong. That's not Elon's fault, but Curtis fixing it is his.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I was gonna say was basically like the part of what Matthew is trying to do is, one, present the appearance of being in charge, even though he's not at all. Like, this is a completely different environment from what he is actually in charge of, but damn if he's not trying to project the sense of being in charge. And to see what the reaction of the person who's actually in charge is to him, while also like, but he's like also trying to figure out like is where Clara is. Like, Clara's not here, but she's near here.
Yes. And let's take a moment and locate Clara, who is now led up into the building and is now standing on the other side of the front. So if it's kind of it's not a tube because it's round, it's shaped like this, bell shaped. There we go. It's bell shaped and the entrance is recessed. So it's got a kind of a part that sticks out over it. The front of it is a plane of reflective faux metal, glass, something, a little bit of both. And you are standing behind it. You have been led through a dizzying array of chambers, many of which are hung with tapestries and carpets and furniture of it's like someone ransacked. It's exactly like someone has ransacked a large area with a bunch of different design elements in it and just took what they thought was the prettiest or most expensive and used it to set up rooms.
Okay.
Like it's gauche.
Sure
It's
is.
not, This is not understated old money elegance. And just to speak with the shit of the Van Horsts for a minute, this is new money stuff. This is, I can buy whatever catches my fancy, and I don't know how to make it all go together and da 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 da. So this is clearly a place where someone has power and authority and the ability to, get luxury goods, but also there's a little bit of like, oh honey, you're new. And right now, you are realizing that you have significantly more leverage than you thought you did, because the silver one has a little dish of water, and it looks like it's got some flowers floating in it, some petals and some things, and maybe a couple of like herbaceous leaves. There's a really nice smell. It's a very alien smell, but it's kind of that like basil-y, lemony, rosy. It's just kind of like a weird combo that you'd never think of, but it's definitely nice smelling. And they have a rag, not a rag. They have a nice piece of cloth because they want to live. And they are trying to figure out whether or not they want to wipe the blood off your face or give you the goblet to do it. But there is a like, we have to clean her up. Like, as in we need to make it clear that we need to obscure the fact that she was beaten under our care.
See how that goes.
Yep.
The moment, oh gosh, when Clara realizes what the thing is doing, and when she doesn't reach for the bowls, and when it starts to reach, she goes, "Don't touch me, servant. I will wear my battle scars like the nobility that I am."
Bless us all.
Well, the thing she is starting to do, and I might not even roll it this session, is she's starting to dive into forbidden inspiration of, if I was the ruler here, because I should be, and I will be, but if I was, how would I act? What would I do? How would I claim myself? And how would I own this emotionally? So she is starting to fake it until she makes it, which is what Clara does, especially when she's really fucking scared.
Yes.
And she doesn't want that dirty thing touching her until somebody makes retribution.
Yeah. I love it. It doesn't. It's Clara, there is something going on inside this thing's mind that is not it is under some kind of compulsion.
Oh, I feel
like
a
it's
dirty abuser. Feel dirty. Yeah, but
yeah.
It
clear, like there's a bunch of cringing and protective fawning, but there's like at the same time it is cringing. Its hands are dipping the cloth and reaching out, like you can like its body is in conflict. You cannot care because Clara Van Horst wouldn't, but just to let you know that it's
So even if after she said "don't touch me," it cringed, and now something is making it try to touch her again, is that what's happening?
Essentially, yes. Or the instruction to clean her up is so powerful that it is in conflict with its desire not to be whatevered by you. As you have said, "Don't you fucking touch me," very clearly. I mean, it won't touch you unless you let it.
Yeah.
Like you can just say, "Don't fucking touch me again," and it won't. So, but it's definitely just it's less about cleaning you up and more about emphasizing the fact that this creature is fighting with an external influence.
No, that's and she doesn't really want to make it worse for something that is going to be her servant. And she can't completely clean up the So when it does that again, and clearly it's in a struggle, she takes the cloth and at least cleans the blood off of her lips. She'll still be bruised. Her hair still ripped down, but she cleans the blood up. Will you be calm now?
You can, yes. It nods, and it's hard to see because of the surgery and the stone underneath their skin, but you can almost think that you can see a couple of like tears of relief like well up in the tear ducts and like leak down behind the skin under the stone.
She leans closer to it and kind of reaches up to its face and goes, when we own this place, you will be far better cared for. I promise that.
Oh man, roll influence other. We've got to see if that works. And we need to include some randomization for that.
Oh, 4 + 8, 12. Oh, but influence others charisma, I think. So that's gonna put me to 15. It is 15. There we go.
Okay, lucky you. Clara, you've got this habit of finding fucked up broken things and making them love you. Do not look at Matthew.
She had Bethany first.
Yeah.
I was like, excuse me.
Excusez-moi. Yeah, 1,000 pardons. Do not look at any of your siblings. And you've still got the touch. Yay. And so when you say that, it is apparently just the right thing that this, like, and like I said, there's a lot of like very animalistic vibe to it, but you can't really tell at this moment if it's actually like a bipedal animal that's being like ridden by an intellect, or if it is an intelligent creature being ridden by, like being influenced by something else that is so fucked up that it is actually going down to like base animal behavior. But it puts its like stony mangled face in your palm and like just for a second pushes into it and then pulls away and like pretends that it never did that.
Perfect. That's fine.
And then you two turn to see what's on the bridge. Matthew, Bethany, this thing is about 8 feet-ish tall, maybe. You actually, like, if you stretched it, you have no idea how fucking tall it would be because it's all joints and strange shaped. This is a crooked man who walked a crooked mile. And it is, yeah, it's wrapped like head to toe in just like yards and yards and yards and yards of this beautiful like cloth of orichalcum. Orichalcum. I always forget. And it's incredible. Like the amount of wealth that it is manifesting is very impressive. But it stops and it doesn't bow. It doesn't really do anything that looks like obeisance or anything else, but it turns to you, it looks at you and says, "We greet you." Its voice sounds like each word is dropped from a great height into an aquifer filled with oil. There's an echoing but somehow sound absorbing liquidity in it. And you can't really tell if that was spoken or if that was somehow sent into your mind.
Matthew will respond with, and he will look, like, can he see Clara yet?
No, she's on the other side of reflective surfaces, but you can absolutely, if you're still holding onto the thing, it is right through that guy.
He will look for a moment very clearly in the direction of where he thinks Clara is.
Yeah, it's
based on
straight
the
line right
string.
now. It's right through this thing's midsection.
Like flick his eyes basically around it, and then up to its face. There aren't eyes to look at, so
Yeah.
His head is back. Basically, his shoulders are back. He is standing as if basically he is walking into a boardroom, as if he is, ready to receive, like the, something as a king. Like he's trying to project an air of I am in control and I am the person who is in charge, which is a whole thing. And he will say, "You may greet me, but I want my sister." Give her to us.
In that tone of voice, like using statement language and everything.
Oh yeah.
Just I wanted to check.
Depending on its reaction, I will do another thing. But he's first seeing whether or not just saying it, what its reaction will be.
Well, it's gonna be a reaction. It's gonna be a severe reaction, and I'm just trying, like,
basically, if I start seeing it be something that is obviously violent, can I use a power?
Use a power, you said?
Yeah.
That's,
or would it be too fast?
Well, Bethany has a sixth sense.
I was like, do I have one more sixth sense?
I thought you had 2 holds. Yeah.
I do, right? I do. So I should have a second one.
Because if like there's any sign of the fact that it's going to do a thing, he's going to snap up divine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought you were going to do inner power.
Oh, no.
I thought we were about to do the cult equivalent of rolling initiative.
No. His next thing would be to hit it with divine. Because this is about power and this is about obedience.
I have a thought if
and it's oh, sorry, you go.
I was gonna say no. If it, like, one, yes, you should totally do that. And Bethany is absolutely letting Matthew lead this because this is a social interaction thing. But if to get him to have the moment to do that, she would absolutely try to use like telekinesis to hold it. Not to like lift it, not to like anything, but just like a wall and make it freeze so that Matthew has a moment.
Because
yeah, because she wants him to do the thing. And so she's like, well, I'll stop it so that Matthew gets a moment to do his thing. And she'll take whatever psychic damage that is.
Because like divine is the most appropriate thing to use in a situation like this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And my goal was to find the person who was most important and use it on them, but I wanted to first see whether or not it was necessary. I mean, I might totally fail, and that'll be a whole thing. But yeah.
Yeah. Roll divine.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's find out how divine goes, and then we'll shape the scene.
Okay.
Happy to do that. Okay. So I rolled a 14, and my soul is 3. So that is a 18, or not 18. Wow. How's math? 17.
Mm-hmm.
You fucking guys.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I know the things he'll say also specifically for it. Which would be give me my sister unharmed. because it's the three. You get three things, and it would be orders because this is how he rolled. It would be give me my sister unharmed, protect me while I am here, and take me to your leader with the respect with respect.
Okay. Bethany, roll telekinesis.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I rolled a 14, and that's plus soul, because that's we're doing that, and that's a +4, so that's an 18 on telekinesis. And you just need to tell me. I mean, I guess it's a large object. Tell me whatever psychic damage I need to take about this. So 2. That's
Two
what
stability.
I figured.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. Great. Haha. Cool. I'm 1 away from broken.
I was about to say, like, how bad you going, girl?
1 away from broken. If I lose 1 more, I'm broken, and Ben gets to do things.
Great.
But it also means I can see through the illusion where we are not. I have a +1 to see through the illusion where we're not there.
Great. Matthew, you say, did you say take me to my sister or bring me my sister? The original command.
The original command when it was the original command that wasn't with Divine, or the one that was with the Divine. The one was I think it was give me my sister. Or...
I think it was too.
Yeah.
So you say bring me my sister, and the entire thing like does a very roach-like convulsive twitch, and all of these incorrect joints kind of twist in on themselves. And the thing that looked at least vaguely kind of organized stops looking organized, and now things are moving in ways that are difficult to track, and there's just a motion of slowness, a moment where not uncountable because there's too many, uncountable because they are not always moving in straight lines, number of clawed hands are reaching out to you, and then they stop. And you can feel the bridge underneath you vibrating at a pitch much higher than it's supposed to. And you hear a stress noise come out of Bethany. And then you use Divine?
Yep.
I was going to give you a -2, but that was still a 15, so you're fine.
Fucking wild.
Welcome home, fam.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Ben.
No, it's fine. Like, okay. In a way that would be satisfying to Clara, because she has seen more of this culture than you have. It fawns, but like it folds itself in. You can't, and this Divine isn't going to last very long. Like, this was clearly a short-term thing, and you do not. Yeah, we're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, part of this is also showing it that he has this amount of power, which, like, whether or not that helps later on, who knows? But like, it is quite frankly like just him whipping his dick out, like it power-wise. Like, it is a big move meant to create a big effect. While he is still an unknown quantity.
Yeah. I'm just going to have to figure out how this chucking a cinder block onto a frozen lake is going to work for you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Not great. I assume.
Probably not, but you know.
Yeah, so it turns and now it's crawling on us on too many legs. And it's angry, it's clearly intelligent, it's clearly angry, it's radiating fury. This is you Kethered this. Like this is not like I have naturally gained your allegiance. You have just been like, I am the embodiment of authority. I am the creature you are designed to follow, and you are going to do it.
Yeah, especially because at the level that I got it, it explicitly states that the creature mistakes you for a god. And I feel like it's very important to mention the mistakes, because it's kind of that idea of like later on when it wears off, it's like, that wasn't a god. And I'm really fucking upset. It is a blunt instrument, like, and this is very much him channeling the angel he ate, which was not a very subtle or kind creature. It is in, and I would also say it is a blatant showing that, like, if it finds out, or if it currently knows that he's a human, that he has something in him that shouldn't be.
Yes, which is hysterical, because this is this creature's nightmare scenario. Like
this is hilarious to me.
Yeah, you literally walked up to this thing and said like, "Hi, I'm your nightmares."
He will stride. So I also want to say, like, this, like, he knew that this could have failed and gone very badly, because he's seen it fail when he's used it before. Like, he has had this fail on him before. So he clenches and strides next to it as if, like, obviously I knew this was going to work. This is totally exactly what I expected, that it would totally go through without any problems. And will just stride beside it. And importantly, this is partially him trying to hit also with what is it called? The leadership one that he has to to everybody around him, when you act like the boss.
Oh yeah.
Awe-inspiring. So I'd like to roll for that, just like, so that people, like, because it says people around you, and I don't know if that counts for these things. I don't know if they're people. But I'd like to roll for that, just for the idea of, like, what do people like? Does it make a feeling, at least? Or I could just use influence other as a generalized, like, seeing how well he does with that.
Honestly, I like awe-inspiring. It's got a good vibe. So
that is a 9 and a 2, so 11 plus my charisma of 4 is just barely 15.
People around you accept you as their leader and listen to you. Okay.
And the idea of this isn't that he's going to be sticking around long, because after this he's booking it, because, oh god, this is going to go badly the moment that this wears off. But the idea is more to give that he wants to be remembered as this moment to everyone here.
Yeah. So you start walking towards this building.
Yeah.
And a piece of the glass at the front of the building, like, turns at a right angle. Like, it's almost like it seems like one piece turns at a right angle on a pivot, but somehow also every single molecule turns on a right angle. So you see multiple kinds of rotation happen all at once. And it is clear that now that Matthew can see you, because this door opening is obvious on both sides. And I think it's 10:30. I think we're gonna stop as soon as the siblings get together and get to say a couple words, because oh boy, the next things are gonna take a minute.
Yeah. Oh, this is fine.
Okay, so you are all reunited, kind of like essentially like on the I don't want to say the porch, but the front area.
Yeah, so he and Bethany come through into the inside with Clara and her now weird momentary pet.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, thank goodness you. Oh, okay, I'm all right. And she pulls Matthew into a very deep kiss.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, if you weren't going to say it, I was like, yeah. There's at least like a very quick, like, deep and intense kiss that like is probably shorter than either of them want, but also they are in enemy territory.
Clara also wants to hug Bethany, so as soon as the kiss,
because Bethany definitely is gently rolling her eyes.
Yeah, Matthew actually immediately steps aside after the kiss as if he knows that Clara's going to run over to Bethany.
Yeah.
And she does the tight hug, but then that ouch, they're probably definitely bruised, if not broken ribs. Like, this hurts, but it's fine because I've got my happy, charismatic, everything's fine face on, and you're here. And hi, I love you. We need to take over this place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad we're all in agreement. This is my friend. My siblings were the ones that are going to help you.
Okay, ask one question, and then we can say goodnight, or do our wrap up and say goodnight. Did you, in any way, shape, or form, take steps to have the giant golden monster thing not be in earshot?
What'd she say?
Oh.
When she said we need to take this place over?
No, probably not.
Probably not. No.
As far as she's aware, they were allowed to like stroll in here, and she cowed the one that's next to her and made a promise that we're going to be in charge and take care of you. So,
okay. Well, tune in in 2 weeks where all of it comes home. And all of the checks written will be cashed.
Oh my God.
Work on it. It's been going fine so far. The worst was like a little bit of beating. She's had worse. Like
the hubris of these motherfuckers. Like,
I'm still just amused that Bethany and Matthew said that in tandem without hesitation. They were just like, yup.
Yep.
But so we will return on the 16th of January, and we are all going to find out together exactly how bad it is when you're still around the thing that you use divine on. So it's going to be I think there's going to be some more wrath and tears next game.
Yay.
And I think that's going to wrap it for us. Remember, if you act like a Van Horst, go to therapy, and take care of yourself and be kind to each other. So thank you very much. Good night.